Hello everyone, let's jump straight in. From a professional PMO perspective, the three-phase PMO setup is a structured approach used to establish, stabilize, and optimize a PMO in a way that matches organizational readiness and strategy. Now, in very simple English, this means you don't build a PMO in one big jump. You grow it step by step. You've probably seen this at the office. Someone announces a PMO, expectations go sky high, and within months, people say, this PMO is not adding value. That usually happens because the setup was rushed. So the big takeaway here is that PMOs succeed when they grow in phases. And once that idea is clear, the natural question becomes, what exactly is the first phase? Let's move into that. Stay with me here. The first phase in the three-phase PMO setup is commonly referred to as the foundation or initiation phase. Professionally, this phase focuses on defining purpose, scope, governance basics, and stakeholder alignment. In simple words, this phase answers one question: why does this PMO exist? You've probably seen teams start working before goals are clear. A PMO can't afford that mistake. In this phase, the PMO listens more than it controls. I once saw a PMO spend its first few months just clarifying expectations, and that alone reduced resistance across the organization. So now that we understand how the PMO gets its footing, the next step is seeing how it actually starts delivering support. That takes us straight into phase. Let's break this down together. The second phase is the build or stabilization phase. In professional terms, this phase focuses on implementing core processes, tools, standards, and reporting while supporting active projects. In everyday language, this is where the PMO starts doing real work, but carefully. You've probably seen teams overwhelmed by too many rules at once. A smart PMO avoids that. It introduces just enough structure to help projects succeed without slowing them down. I once watched a PMO roll out reporting templates slowly, one department at a time. Adoption was smooth because people weren't shocked. So now that the PMO is up and running, the next logical question is, how does it grow from helpful to strategic? That's exactly what the third phase is about. Now let's talk about the third phase. Professionally, this is known as the optimization or maturity phase, where the PMO focuses on strategic alignment, portfolio management, value measurement, and continuous improvement. In very simple terms, this phase turns the PMO into a trusted business partner. You've probably seen PMOs that only report status. In this phase, the PMO starts influencing decisions, priorities, and investments. I once saw a PMO move from reporting delays to helping leadership decide which projects to stop. That's real maturity. So now that we understand the three phases individually, the next step is understanding why this phased approach matters so much. Let's explore that next. Here's the key insight. Professionally, the three-phase PMO setup reduces resistance, manages expectations, and aligns PMO growth with organizational maturity. In plain English, it prevents PMO burnout and rejection. You've probably seen initiatives fail because they tried to do everything at once. This model respects the reality of people, culture, and change. I once saw leadership push for advanced portfolio dashboards before basic data was ready. The phase model helped reset expectations and rebuild trust. So now that the value of the phase setup is clear, the final step is understanding how this model guides PMO leaders during implementation. That brings us into our final scene. The three-phase PMO setup gives PMO leaders a clear roadmap to move from clarity to capability to credibility without overwhelming the organization. In very simple words, it shows when to do what and why timing matters. When PMOs follow this roadmap, adoption improves, value becomes visible, and the PMO grows naturally into its strategic role. With this roadmap clearly understood, we are now ready to move forward into the practical steps of executing a PMO implementation plan and managing change as the PMO comes to life. We are going to discuss Phase 1 initiation in details in next chapter.